In the last development phase, I had an earlier version of my game tested by some of my friends, and they found a lot of bugs and some of the features did not feel right. Some of you guys also commented on your thoughts about the game, and I really would like to fix all the oversights. So in this devlog, we'll be tackling and fixing some of these bugs and features. And by the end of this game devlog video, we will test a full battle with the mercenaries to check if we really did improve the state of the game. So stick around. By the way, if you're new to this channel, I'm June and I'm making a game where you play as a wisp, a glowing ball of light who can transform into different monster types to fend off human invaders exploiting your island. So let's begin. When my friends tested the game out for the first time, they immediately went exploring. So they tested out the limits of the terrain. Some of them went underwater and some of them went up to the slopes using the jump key. This clearly needs a system where the player should detect the slope of the terrain and slide down if it's too steep. Another issue is with the water. The water did not look good in my game. It lacked water reflections and felt out of place. Another thing mentioned was feedback when Skelly is hit. There's no feedback animation yet for this. And apart from the skeleton feedback, a lot of feedback was suggested to make hitting the enemies feel good, namely sounds, blood, and camera shakes to make the hit feel good. Also, another comment implied that the skeleton feels weak. Although I intend to have the skeleton feel weak because he's a skeleton, and most skeletons in RPG games are one of the weaker monsters. I and some of my friends brainstormed and decided to make the skeleton have a skill to summon more skeleton warriors, to make it a necromancer type of monster, compensating for its weakness. We will have the skeleton use different weapons and tools and give him different abilities depending on the weapon or tool equipped. As my friends tested the combat system, specifically the flee mode, they noticed that the flee mechanic is tedious and annoying. Also, some of you guys in the comments suggested to have the chase mechanic tied to the stamina, to make it less hard for the players and when engaging battle with the acolytes and his group. Honestly, I myself find the mercenary group to be overpowered with the addition of the chasing mechanic. And lastly, the most common problem when they tested the game was mainly on the camera. The camera did not feel good when they play and try to evade. It's like the camera moves to the opposite direction, making them move the mouse frequently to reposition the camera to face the enemy. We have a lot of features to fix and we can't tackle all of them in one devlog. Instead, we'll have a series of devlogs that just tackles all of these issues. As for now, we'll focus on fixing the issue with the flee mode being too annoying, and we'll also nerf the chasing mechanic a bit to give a chance to the player. We'll also nerf the flee mechanic and add poise to it to allow staggering or tripping when their poise is low as they flee. For those of you who have watched my previous devlogs, you already know that our enemies have stamina and poise stat mechanic. For those of you who didn't know this stamina stat is responsible for the actions of the enemy AI. Each action uses up and will deplete the enemy's stamina, preventing them from making actions like attacking. For them to attack again, they need to rest to recover the lost stamina. We made this feature to prevent them from spamming attacks forever. Also, we have a poise stat mechanic that is responsible for the staggering of the enemies, allowing them to be open for a powerful execution attack. The poise stat goes down every time the enemy gets hit, and it resets once the poise reaches 0. Just like stamina, the poise stat also regens when you don't hit the enemy for a time. So with the existing mechanics in place, we just need to add some features to it. First, let's link the stamina to an action that the enemy makes. Then, let's set it to deduct stamina if the action has been made. Then, let's make a condition that prevents the enemy from dodging if their stamina is low. We'll also apply this to the attack counters. We'll only have the enemy counter-attack us if they have enough stamina for the action. As for the chasing mechanic, we'll just integrate the stamina stats to it and add a condition to let the enemy sprint only when they have enough stamina. So at the moment, the poise mechanic only applies to the battle mode. Let's add a poise mechanic to the flee mode as well. First, we'll have poise deducted if the enemy is hit. Then, we make a function that staggers the enemy when the poise hits 0. Now let's add some animations to the stagger. Now, to make this even better, let's add a maimed movement animation after the enemy is staggered to give the player additional edge over the enemies fleeing. Then, let's add an animation to where he will stand up and get back to guard mode if his health is high. Alternatively, let's make another variety animation when the enemy is in low health. We want it to trigger the cripple behavior, making him squirm on the ground, open for an execute attack. Now let's test for bugs. Hit, stagger, Now, here's the bug. He slides around even though the animation for standing up is still ongoing. Let's quickly fix this by having the enemy stop moving when it is staggered. Now let's test the changes. Hit, stagger, now he does not slide anymore, then he stands up, then for some reason he staggers without us hitting him. Let's fix this by making an event linked to the standing animation that disables the stagger boolean. Now let's test everything we've done, but this time let's do our best not to get hit and keep our health above 0. So here's my strategy. First, let's try and target the Acolyte, since the Acolyte is the most tedious among the bunch. We must be careful though, since one wrong move would lead to all the mercenaries running towards us. As you can see, with the addition of our Acolyte's cover behavior, now it's really challenging for us, the player, to rush and kill the Acolyte first. He always goes behind his rear guard when he is attacked. See? He moves backwards, hiding behind the guards. So we need to reposition ourselves to prevent the other mercenaries from ganging up on us. Also, the evasion behavior for the Acolyte is higher than the usual enemy, making him hard to hit. He also does not stagger, since according to our lore, the Acolytes have very high mental fortitude, making them hyper-focused, thus making them immune to stagger. Now that the Acolyte is dead, let's take out the easier enemies, the Torchbearers. This will be my go-to strategy since mercenary guards are easier to fight when they are fleeing and not grouped together. The dash attack mechanic is really handy in fighting this group. Also, the shield bash skill is very handy when they are grouped like this. See? Takes a lot of multiple damage in a wider area. The movement and controls for the skeleton seems to be okay. My only issue is with the camera being too tedious and hard to handle. An auto target or lock-on system would be nice to have, which we'll be developing as we further progress through this bug fixing series. One torchbearer down, one more to go before they enter flee mode. Let's just use dash attacks and immediately dodge backwards to avoid the guards hitting us. There's still no death mechanic for the skeleton yet. Our goal here in this battle is to keep our health above 0, so let's be careful and slowly chip away the health of the torchbearer. We choose to kill the torchbearer first since they easily are staggered. Now that we have most of them killed, they will now start fleeing. Let's chase them and hopefully we will trigger some of the features that we've made. Having the dodging behavior and dodge counters for the mercenary guards really gives a lot of variety to the battle. You can't just chase and kill the mercenary guards that easily, since they can do counters if they are cornered. So you also have to be careful and defend yourself from the counter attacks. My strategy here to defeat this guard is to wear down his points, which will lead to him staggering. There you go, he staggers. Now let's throw in some free hits. Now let's move back and repeat the process of wearing his poise down. Let's try to land a sprint attack. Oops, wrong timing. Let's reposition ourselves and just do a safe dodge and evade tactic. He's crippled. Now let's do a finisher attack. Alright, now let's move on to the next guard. Let's try and find them. Usually the enemies will hide themselves in the corners of the area. So let's try and look around. Okay, they're not here. Now let's try the lake. The AI behavior for this will have the enemies look for a spot away from the player. I bet they're hiding near the lake since the lake is one of the farthest area from our spot. There you go, found one. Now let's do our strategy. Let's chase the guard and attack using dash attacks and dodges. Right now, he is cautious and is looking at us while running away, getting ready to dodge. This one is very evasive. He's acting like this since he has a lot of stamina. Whoops, he countered us. This is why overconfidence will hurt you even though in flee mode. Let's pick up the pace and use charge attacks to chase him. Hopefully he gets staggered. And there you go. Let's cripple him. Now let's land a few blows. Now let's do a finisher. Alright, now for the last one. Where could the last mercenary guard be? Let's try and check the lake again. I think he's hiding there, or he could be upstream. Now look at our health. It's very low. So we should be careful and not get too overconfident. Guard counters are very unpredictable. Alright, There he is. Now, where are you going, boy? Now, let's try and wear out his stamina so that he will not evade too much. Let's just chase him and try to land blows to drop his voice down too. Oops! Didn't see that counter. Our health is almost to 0. We should be very careful. 2 hits will surely kill us. Now let's try to wait for an opening. Let's have him move away from the bushes so that we can see his move clearly. Alright, let's chase him again and let's try to land some hits. But at the same time, let's look out for guard counter. He has nowhere else to go. This is a good opportunity to land some hits to bring his poise down. He's really trying to survive here. It's a good strategy to keep harassing him, to keep his stamina and poise low, not giving him the chance to recover. The goal here is to drain his stamina so that he will not dodge and will be forced to battle with us. Now his stamina is drained and he's trying to counter our attacks. Let's be careful, we don't have that much health left. Now that he's running away, he's slowly recovering some of his stamina. Let's chase him and keep on harassing him to bring that stamina down again. He's moving upstream. This will be an advantage to us since there's not enough space for the guard to dodge. There you go. We just staggered him. Let's land some attacks. Now he's desperate to survive. Let's go in for the kill. Now he's crippled and is crawling for his life. Let's watch and appreciate his efforts before we kill him. Now let's put him out of his misery. What do you think of the solution so far? Did it solve the problem with the enemies being too tedious? Let me know in the comments below. Leave a like and feel free to comment your thoughts, suggestions, and feedback. One of our goals is to make this game community driven. I will read and reply to all your comments, and if by chance that your suggestions are applicable to our game, just like what Epsilon Rose suggested, I will surely make it a feature. So shout out to Epsilon Rose for the awesome feedback. On the next devlog for the bug fixing series, we will tackle the issues for our camera. We'll be making a lock-on target system that locks our camera and player to the enemy. Till next time.